Hey everybody, what up? Scuff D here, and today we're gonna do a little something, something for the community, good sirs, something for the community. Hang on, god damn it, stay in one spot, stay. Psst. Okay, so actually, what we're gonna go ahead and do here, the submission window for the Create a Faction contest. That I hyped a few weeks back has ended. The submissions are in. There's quite a few cards, so really what I'm going to go ahead and try to do here is just I've taken a look at all the factions and some hard work from the guys who have done them. Some really interesting stuff. I just kind of want to take a look at my three favorite factions, I guess. The three that I liked, I think that I liked most. I think they were all good. I don't think there was anything that jarred me. I was like, there's some interesting stuff. The clarification with the contest, we'll just go right into it, and I'm going to try to navigate here to the drive, so bear with me. We'll go into this one here. The White Scars is the first one we're going to take a look at here. I liked what we were seeing here. And this is going to be kind of weird to view, but that's how we're going to do it. So the rules was basically any faction, it had to have 4 warlords. It had to have at least, I believe, 2 unique mechanics to go with it. And with each faction, it didn't have to be necessarily tied to Horus Heresy. So I think this might be jacking up my camera. We'll see how this works on the playback. I'm going to take my camera off here. Hang on a second here. See, I'm not the star here. Let's make it that the cards are the star. And hopefully the audio is still recording out here. So each of these cards here, there's layouts on one of the discords that you can go into card ideas on the general card game discord here, and they've got a wealth of tools as far as icons, and then all the players who are on there have got the ability to kind of go and create their own, upload the images wherever they can find them and throw them out there. So we're getting in here to White Scars, and I'll tell you what I liked about the White Scars, and I'm just gonna not highlight any particular card necessarily. They seem very White Scarry, if that makes any difference, if that makes sense. But let's take a look at their key mechanics here, which are down here somewhere, so you can get an idea. Okay, so cards with Sagir Mazan. When this unit attacks a troop, it deals 1 damage to the enemy warlord. So when it attacks a troop, it's still dealing some damage to the enemy warlord. And then Star Hunters, the first time your opponent uses a tactic each turn, give this unit +1/+0 until the end of your next turn. So it's kind of like an interesting conditional rage, if you will. If your opponent is playing tactics, it's not necessarily dealing them damage, but if they're not killing your guys or they're playing tactics that pump up their stuff, your guys are gaining buffs. So that's interesting. And through the course of this faction, a lot of troops have got both, not both, but either or, one or the other. And then what you really start to see here with calculated risk, command and control center, even concealing winds, and is kind of this idea of tactic hate or hand manipulation, which I think is very interesting. And I believe the reckoning for Jagtai Khan is whenever a card is returned to a deck. Like Halji here, return a friendly troop to your deck and reduce its cost to 0. Warp Retreat would also work in that regard. So it reduces the reckoning. Draw 3 cards for each tactic drawn, deal 1 damage to the enemy warlord. It's kind of like an inverse. Oh gosh. That's the card for Night Lords that I don't use, but it's also cost 5, so it's kind of damage there. You could deal 3 damage if you're playing tactic heavy, otherwise you're just giving yourself 5 energy to draw. You've got some flank and cleave here with the Jade Earth Spear, flank and cleave 3, so some beefy guys who are coming out and hit hard. And then you've got Jubal Khan, which is just a crazy rally. but I liked overall the theme in terms of dealing with replay, uh, you know, some penalty to your opponent for playing a certain type of cards, or some, or at the same time, the ability to return cards to your opponent's hand. Whereas there's one in here that I saw that was just really neat. Return 2 troops to your opponent's deck. If any troops returned to your deck had frontline, you did draw a card. The Chisel, that's a really neat card. Just an interesting way to basically return stuff, to decks. You're still getting play out of them, and then I think there's a Warlord here. Now, Targuti Yasugi, the Chief Stormseer, he's got a really interesting ability, because his ability, you're shuffling into your opponent's deck, they're not redrawing a card. So that's the one thing I would say. I mean, I like the premise. I like how there's some sort of unified theme here with the White Scars. In terms of not just fast, but forcing your opponent to adapt to counter to attack you, which is really what the White Scars and the Storm, the way they play is so interesting. But if you play it, I mean, just as like an opposite version of Alpha Legion, if you built your deck a certain way and used the key cards with Yasugi, you could very well deny your opponent any cards in hand if they have too many tactics, or if they just happen to draw tactics over troops, and that could lead to a negative play experience. But overall, I like this faction, so we'll take a look at that faction. I'm gonna be picking on some of the ones here. I didn't remember all the names, so they're all finished. These are, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, we got 2, 3, 4, we got 14 people who completed full factions. These aren't just 1 or 2 cards. These are full factions, and there are things in here. Give it up whether you like it or not. The idea of ponies and 40k. I don't know where you got the artwork or sourced it, but it looks nice. It looks good. You got Friend, you got Prey, some interesting concepts. I don't know if I necessarily liked the Prey mechanic, so yeah, I get the thematic for it, but I didn't quite get it. Although Blind was nice. I would like to see something with Blind, maybe somewhere down the road. And I think we had some conscripts, some Red Army in here somewhere. Gosh, we had Nids. We had a Tyrannid, or we had 2 Tyrannids. I know What a Joke had Tyranids, and then was it Cerberus? Blue boxes, card backs, and some people did card backs as well as like voice lines. Oh, no, Cerberus did an interesting one here. So he did the Grey Knights, or not the Grey Knights, rather the Knight Errants. And actually, what I liked about this one here, this is one that I want to talk about, was these guys start with equipment. They start with an extra card, Power Sword, Paragon Bolter, and Precognitive Gift. Each of those are part of the set. You can play with Mace Severian, Chalice Rubio, or Nathaniel Garrow. And really what it seemed like, and I had questions. I had questions in terms of how the equipment works. Some of the equipment works, because some of it, this one here, the Aquila Imperator is a 0x, it's 5, it's indestructible. I don't know if that X means it takes damage, or it can be targeted as an attack, or if it just sits there. But each warlord has the ability to activate their war gear, and it's kind of interesting because it gives a concept. I think what he was trying to create here is, these are knight errants. These guys end up just being badasses all by themselves. They don't need too many support units, so you're really just equipping them with things like Force Sword. Crushing Blow is a tactic necessarily. It's not a weapon. Weapon is on the field here as a Force Sword, and as a rally, you get to replace it. Whatever, you're basically upgrading whatever sword they came with, and then for 2 Psychic Energy, they can gain +1/+0, and they jam any troop damaged, and then you get to act again. So in a way, your Warlord acts kind of similar to the Warlord Titans, or the Reaper Titans that we've seen as well. You're putting down things that take up slots on the board for their gear, and then your gear is gaining you additional abilities to use depending on cost of energy. But I do have a question with regards to that, because if they're indestructible, can they be destroyed? Do they have health, or is it just an ongoing thing? In which case, then your opponents don't even need to worry about focusing on these things. They can just straight go for the key troop. And there are some troops here. Knight Aaron is just a 4/5 flanker. He's got Garviel Loken in here as a big close route. So he does have some supporting troops necessarily, but the key focus is really just on pumping up the warlord. And so some interesting ideas. And there might be something we might see down the road. Or at least, the faction itself. I don't know if we'll see a card that, like an Astartes basically looking like the way Canis Vertex looks, but it is interesting. So I thought that was interesting. I thought it was creative, very creative out there. And then I also wanted to highlight the Blood Angels here, and I'm not a huge Blood Angels fan, but I really liked the Fury mechanic. It's very Blood Angel-y, if you will. I think the artwork was pretty tight, and I mean each of these I could see each of these being a card where, some, as you play the game, some get replaced by better rarity cards, or some are more keyed up for events. Basically Fury Fury does something when this unit attacks. So when it's chosen to attack, so it's kind of the way, he typed up a little thing here. I'll just put that up there. So it's possible to trigger a Fury, and that Fury ability kills things or does something. Oh no, go back. Oh no. See, this is where I get into trouble here. Hang on, I gotta go back into contests. No. Alright, god damn it. Well, let's see. Let's go into... Do I have this with me? Share with me? Fluff. Faction contest. Okay. Whew. Found it. So, Fury does something when it's chosen to attack. And, so it's like this one here. Fury, give +1/+0 this turn, so when it attacks, it becomes a 3, and then it attacks. Yeah, kind of interesting. I'm gonna back out there, but I gotta be gun shy. So I mean, some troops are not as useful with their Fury, and some, like this one here, gains +1/+1, and it's unstoppable. That's nice. It's a 4/4 when it's attacking, but when you throw it out, it's just a 3/3 unstoppable. So there seemed to be an interesting mix. You've got some good art. You've got the Apothecary Maros, which is an interesting kind of a backlash that actually gives your opponent the Red Angel. So that's kind of interesting. It's like a throwback here, but at the same time, you've got a card that's just powerful, the Spear of Telestos, which I think is a little bit too overpowered, because just for your opponent, your warlord attacking, it's going to go +2/+0 until the end of turn. I could easily see that, along with Orders from Terra, and then your warlord's a 6/0. Not to mention who knows what else is kind of within here to up the attack of your warlord. It could just get crazy. But overall, I thought it was done fairly well. I thought each card made sense. I think there was an ample amount of proper abilities that we've seen. Nothing crazy groundbreaking. Red Tier is kind of their closer card, but if you have no troops, you put in play a Gilded Wreck, and a Gilded Wreck is a different card here, and I don't think it's on this tab. I think he's actually got it here in the special. There it is. There's the Red Angel, so you give that to your opponents. You give them a 3/4 maintenance 1, and it deals 1 damage to all of the units. And then the Gilded Wreck right there is kind of like a structure. So, if you haven't read the, oh gosh, damn it, now I forget the Fury. What is that one? The Blood Angels. It's the Blood Angels book and the Horus Heresy. I think they don't have too many, to be honest with you. That is all detailed in there. You can get a little bit more background on some of these units and some of these troops. But so those are the 3 that I liked the most. I liked all of them. I liked where each one was trying to go and try to push something a little bit different. Obviously, part of me was looking at it most just from like gameplay aspect, as far as, okay, if I was playing, how satisfied would I be if this was a new faction? How much would I want to play it? I think the Tyranids were really, really cool. Cool concept, very similar to, I think, with this biomass, except pushed in a different way in terms of like psyker energy. But they basically build up a biomass, and then there's a card which is just like, we're gonna fuck you over. 30 biomass. There you go. Like, it's epic. If they reach that point, it's just gonna close things out of the game. I liked how that pushed the idea, and then you got a completely different take on the Tyranids from What a Joke here, who's really just kind of looking at, okay, these are the Tyranids, and yeah, they've got a lot of the same kind of concepts or cards, names, but totally different. Stats for Gargoyle. Right here, we've got a 2/4 Unstoppable, and I think Taos has got Gargoyles with like First Strike, and I mean, they're nasty. Gargoyles are just, where's he got it? Gargoyles. There you go. 4/2 fast, First Strike, Unstoppable. Just a different take on the same kind of card. So, gosh, if you haven't checked them out, if you're not aware of it, go to the card ideas, go to and check out their pinned messages, and that's where you can find a link to the drive and view all of these guys. There's some really cool work. We got Chaos Undivided in here. There was a good idea with the word bearers. I think we got some Cactpama. I don't know how you pronounce that. Sorry, buddy. The Dark Rebirth, very interesting concept with the word bearers. So you kind of fuse it with a demon, and you make 2 units into 1. And then you've got some non 40k concepts like the ponies, and you've got Safeguard here. Just creative people using the templates that are out there, making their own concepts that honestly are not bad, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see stuff that they're ideas that are tested out here eventually ending up being into the game. Obviously Creed's going with Astra Militarum, which is charge and activate. The Call to Arms, which is, just Call to Arms is basically each warlord pays 2, and then they do Call to Arms, and then it triggers something, and each person who's got a charge on there, I think, they do their ability, if I remember correctly. Hang on here. Charge activates Call to Arms, and Call to Arms is activated by charge, and there you go, like Call to Arms. This unit gains +1/+1. That's what that tactic gives all your units Call to Arms whenever you play that the ability from your warlord. Boom, everybody gets +1/+1, or all those guys who've got that ability get +1/+1. And you've got super heavies in here, so just some neat stuff. And there's no way to properly highlight it. These aren't part of the game. These are just fan cards, fan ideas. But I wanted to highlight, as far as what's out there. We got 14. We got 14 guys who had the time and got their submissions in. There's probably a good dozen more out there who have got ideas, maybe not quite the skills in terms of editing with Photoshop or templates, which is perfectly fine. You have an understanding of the game, or you enjoy the game that much where you want to take it to the next level and make yourself some homebrew cards. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's great. You see that with every card game, and somewhere down the road, this, like I said, these factions, Blood Angels and White Scars are going to be in the game, but we might see some concepts that are pushed here. They're not far off from possibly being something that exists, or at the very least, when all's said and done and the game is over, we might as a player group, we just might want to have our own game. I mean, God forbid the game goes kaput, but then it's really the digital version's gone. If we've got these images you can print out and play the game at home with tokens, there's always that concept, there's always that possibility. So just having players out there who are putting out ideas, putting out material, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think it's really cool. and I think you should think that too. So, anyways, guys, that's it for me. Take a look. Go in here, check out all these guys. I don't think there's any like public voting. I think the votes are done by a select few, but inquire about it if you're curious. Shout out to who your favorites are. You know, we've got Imperial Fists, which I guess I looked at the Legion Mechanics. I didn't show you the cards there, but he broke it up into rarities, so it's a little bit harder to view. These are just the commons, which was nicer. I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciated that, but it was a little tedious for my browsing needs because I'm just doing this on my phone. But you know, and don't get me wrong, I like the Imperial Fists. I liked what I saw more with the other stuff. They all looked good. They all can't be winners, but they all looked good. You know what I'm saying? So, great job, guys. I hope to see some more interesting stuff down the road. Maybe, you know, in a couple months we can do another faction creation contest. And let's get back into. Oh, of course, time exceeded. So yeah, so that's it for me. Just a little post update, and we'll get doing some gameplay stuff here shortly. But take a look at that. Support the community. It's a great community. Again, if you're not on Discord, you just go to that little icon next to the Facebook and the Twitter, and you get on to Discord, and you're part of a bigger community. And trust me, it really opens up a lot of play experiences, a lot of discussion that can be had with players outside of this little lodge chat and global chat. You can really get into some ideas and sharing some concepts and asking questions and venting with people who want to vent with you on the same topic, or people who want to challenge you and say, you know what, get out of your comfort zone. It's a game. Enjoy it. So, all right, guys. That's it for me. Keep playing Legions.
And now it's time for Chewbacca Believe It. He's got the good stuff. Hopping on the bandwagon of the Canis Vertex Jubok train. It's Canis Vertex. Jubok has given us out the Iron Father. Let's see how we can put that to use in this game against Medusan. I've been doing a little bit of playing action with the Canis Vertex, a little bit of crumbling battleground, some random damage. You get a big old beastie beast like that, things get scary. Scary fast. Now what's interesting here is that Medusa makes a mistake. Maybe he's thinking of casual play. Maybe he thought he could just finish off the Canis Vertex quick and dirty. Well, sorry to say that wasn't a good idea. See, Jubok, he gave me the good stuff, baby. He knew what I needed. What I needed was that Iron Father. So you better believe I made the most of it. And what we're watching now is, well, it's the end. I don't need a Primarch to win this war. All I need is Jubok, baby. Just some dirty stuff. It's not even fair, but it is what it is. Now, don't get me wrong, Medusan's got an arsenal, but I've got a freaking Warlord Titan, and I've got enough energy to fire off those fists. Chewbacca, believe it.
Alright, that wraps it up for me. If you liked what you saw, feel free to like and subscribe. Add any comments below. And if you think the video might be useful or the series might be useful, feel free to share that with other players that you know as well. And we'll talk to you later.